Good day YouTube, Max here from MB Development. Welcome to my channel. Today I wish to continue my little course on how to build your own website. This is episode 3. As promised in my previous video, I will be covering on how to create a couple of new pages, which is actually very simple if you guys haven't figured that one out yet, and how to add a little menu and navigation system so that you can at least go from one page to the next without much complications. But I did go back and have a look at our initial HTML page that we have created. Hopefully you guys went back, played a bit with it, made something prettier with it, but I decided I'm going to just do mine with you guys as we go along, or as I go along, then you guys can see my changes for those of you that didn't continue, that did decide to stop just here. So okay, let's dive right into it. First up, let's clean up this HTML page a bit, and actually let's make it a bit more of a working page. And I am going to dive right in, and the first thing that I'm going to do is I wish to remove these two here. I am just going to be working with that one. And let's go back. First up, we remove the two divs. For you guys that have not done the previous videos, I suggest go back, go have a look at what I've done, how I've explained it. It covers the basics of HTML, how to create basic divs, and how to work with basic CSS. Okay, let's take out these two. And while we are at it, seeing that is unnecessary, let's remove that. Always keep your code as streamlined as possible. It's almost as important, well, it is as important as commenting your code, as I've mentioned in my previous episodes. Okay, second thing that I do want to show you guys is the frame. Now, I've made the frame color red. That was purely to show you guys where the frame is. But as I've also shown you guys, is that you've got this big red spacing in between, and I mentioned that this is usually caused by either there being a margin around either the container or the div or the frame or whatever the case may be. In this specific case, it actually turns out to be the header 1 and the paragraph. So let's fix that from the get-go. The header 1, gonna say margin top 0 pixels. You're gonna say margin bottom. This is specifying that there should be no margin either at the top or at the bottom. And if we go back, okay, that actually hasn't done anything for the header. So let's have a look at the paragraph. Margin top, I'm just going to copy and paste it. Margin bottom, copy and paste. Very useful, comes in handy. And there it removed it. Now, I can see some of you asking, okay, but what is a margin and why is it there? One thing I cannot answer you guys is specifically why stuff like header tags and paragraph tags and stuff like that comes pre-formatted with some styling. I'm not sure why. I think it's just barely, to just give a starting point and a certain identification point. However, due to the fact that it's so easily, that you can manipulate it so easily, it is really not a problem at all. I mean, you guys did see in the previous CSS episode how quickly I fixed that. And the second thing is, I just want to explain the difference between a margin, or tell you guys what a margin is and what padding is. When I have a look at this block here specifically, this div, as you can see, the text is pushed up right against the side. Now consider this div as a block, as I explained to you guys previously. And when you add padding, then that will be on the inside of that block. A margin works on the outside of that block. Thus, that is the line, that is the block. So on the inside it's padding, so if you give anything a padding, it will push that text away from there. I will show it to you guys as we work along through the code. And as soon as you move on the outside of that line, you are in margin territory. Thus, margin. Now, margins is sometimes useful if you want to create a break or a spacing or something like that. However, me personally, I usually remove it as quickly as possible. That just gives me more control. And the simple way of doing that is, as I showed you guys, is to merely go margin top and the margin at the bottom 0, 0, and 0. There is a shorthand way to do it, but I'm showing you guys the long way that you guys can grasp it and understand it. As you guys go along, as your CSS and your coding gets better, you are going to start, and as you guys start reading up more on CSS and how to use it, you know, anything that goes beyond what I'm showing you guys here is purely that you guys are going to notice that a lot of these things can be done in shorter ways. Like the margins, I could, for example, if I just wanted to collapse all the margins, I could have just said margin 0. Instead of saying I am specifically stating here margin top, margin bottom. Okay, what else do I wish to fix? This was just initially to show you guys that we are creating a div, a header div. But what I'm going to do is I am actually going to remove that. So I'm going to remove the header 1 or the header 1 tag. And I am just still going to leave that in there as a marker, just to know my logo needs to go here, and I'm going to shorten this to logo. I'm also going to go up the div, that's the header div. I'm going to look for its CSS, and I am going to change that CSS to white. 6. That's the hex for white, and I'm going to do the same for the frame as well. Even though the frame has collapsed, just to be on the safe side, I'm going to collapse that. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The content, same process. We go back, we can just refresh. Alright, we can see there's a logo. As you can see now, you can't see anything. It just looks like the logo is there. It's because the background is pure white and the logo is white as well. But we're going to fix that in a bit. Secondly, I am also going to make that white. I'm going to make that white, and I'm going to clean that up. Most likely remove it, as it does not need to be so big. And change the background color to give us a little bit more structure. I am going to make the content white as well. I'm going to make that footer 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as well. And let's see what that has given me. It's pure white, and I need to remove that black and that white right there. Let's go have a look there. Footer, content, footer top. Ooh, did I break something? I just want to clean that up. Background and the height and the color I will be removing from that. And I'm actually going to remove that complete div, seeing that we do not need it at all. There we go. Let's see what that gives us. And that should give us literally that. Okay, now moving along. I am just going to take that content header. No, I'm going to leave that in there. But now you cannot see anything other than, again, looks like all the CSS has pretty much been removed except for that little bit and for the spacing. But not to fear. The plan is simply to actually change this complete body color background, and the frame that I said is white will then stand out on the blue. So let's quickly do that, and guys will see exactly what I mean. Now, interestingly enough, I will actually be doing this inline because I'm working with the body. Yes, you can put it in your style sheet if you want to, but because this is such a small and simple change, I'm literally just going to put it in here. So I'm going to say, using some inline styling, I am going to say what I want to do is I want to say that the background is of the color blue. I have got a very specific blue that I would like to use. Background blue. And let's see if this worked. Ta-da! There we go. Now we have our blue background. We've got the logo area, the content area, and the footer area currently looking all the same because they're not styled. So let's give them a little bit more styling and also add a little bit more content to that page. Okay, this logo section I'm going to leave as is. The only thing that I'm going to add in the style sheet for now is I'm just going to give that text a bit of padding, and that will be the header logo. So in its own line, this is purely for readability, and I suggest also follow this. This is good practice, is always break out your code. It's easy to read. When the next developer needs to read it, I know that I've said it a million times, but when the next developer or whoever reads it needs to be able to see what's going on. Okay, header, I'm going to give it a padding of 10 pixels, and all that will do, it will give it, that complete header, a padding of 10 pixels. What I'm going to do is I'll create a little random logo later on, just for the sake of the tutorials, and I will drop it in, obviously in later stages I will be showing you guys how to add images and so forth, but for now just logo, that you just know that's going to be the logo. Let's give our content header a bit of substance there, and let's make it look better. I am going to say, okay, the footer, the header, font size is 10. I am going to change that to a more realistic size of, let's say, 18 pixels. That is actually what I use quite often. And then the same for the paragraph, I am going to drop that font size down to 14. That should just make it a bit more realistic in terms of how it works. What I'm also going to do is I am going to give the header a small padding of, let's say, 5 pixels, and I am going to not give, yes, actually I am. And why do we want to do that? Because we do not want the text, we do not want the text to push up right against the margin. Padding, and let's have a look. I am going to run through a few things, change a few more things, like the content header, change the font size and so forth. So I'm not going to jump back and forth the whole time. You guys can just follow me along and we can have a look at the result at the end. Okay, the first thing that I want to do is the header. That's fine, that's a padding of 10. The content, I am not going to give it a padding of 10 because I've already told it that anything that's in this paragraph section is going to need to have a padding of 5 pixels, so that's great. The footer top, here I do want to put in a padding. However, one of the problems that I'm going to run into here is that this footer text is in a paragraph, so I do not want that. I'm going to take them out of the paragraph, and it's not a problem because they are in a div, so they are in their own area and we can manipulate them, and we will be doing that by simply saying the padding for the footer content need to be 10 pixels, and I also wish to make the font size, I want to shrink that down to, let's say, 8 pixels, that I can just clearly distinguish from that. And I am going to say this is the top footer. I'm going to change this to this is what I built. Normally you would put your, if you want to put your copyright there, I normally put the copyright in that part of my web page, but you can put in obviously anything that you wish to carry over. You can even use it to even give more information or add some links or whatever you choose, but I'm just going to keep it simple. So let's give that footer a font size of 8. We've done that with a padding of 10, and I am just going to change this as well, as I want everything to have the same font, and that should do the trick. And that is it. If I go back here, refresh, and it's exactly as I want it to be. The logo has got a padding of 10, the content header has got a padding of 5 or 10, I'm not sure now, 5, 5, yes, sorry, that's right. And the actual content as well has got a padding of 5, and then of course the very tiny text down there is the footer content. Moving right along, let's jump back to our page, and if we have a look at our code, everything is right, nicely sorted out. Now guys, as well, I've mentioned this before, or I think I did, is that try to keep your code neat. Keep it neat, keep it clean. And I know I keep hammering on it, but it is extremely difficult if somebody else needs to write your code. Take a couple of extra minutes and clean up your code. Make sure that your code is right and ready. Good. So this really takes care of this part. We have now created everything, and here comes the fun bit, is to add some more pages. And this is the bit that you guys have been waiting for. So let's get right to it, and this is very simple, and then we can move on to the menu. As you guys can see, I have created a folder that says basic web project with only my index page in there. Do not worry about the connections, that's for something completely different. Right. So what I'm simply going to do is I'm going to create in that directory a new page with Aptana Studio. All I'm going to do is I'm going to say I am going to call this gallery.html and save. It really does not matter which editor you use or what you use, and that the important thing being that, as with the index.html page, you just say whatever you wish the page name to be .html, and of course a blank page. Now we're going to be a little bit sneaky. All that we're going to do is we're going to copy our index.html page and we're going to paste it and save. I'm going to create another page, one more. I'm going to call this the contact us.html page. Again, just paste, copy and paste everything. Essentially what I've done is I have created duplicates of the current page. So just to make things easier and that we can start differentiating between them, I'm going to also change the page titles, and this I will call the About Us page, because I will be using this as the About Us page. You will see shortly where this comes in. The title, For this page will be a gallery, and the last page we can change to contact us. And in our content, actual content page, we can also change it there. Where I have here content header, I can just change this to about us. The gallery, I am going to copy and paste, and the contact us, I am going to do the same. Done, done, and done. And while I'm busy, just to again give a little bit more fluff, I want to say, just I always call it fluff, but just a little bit of more context, is I am simply on each one of these pages, I am going to drop in the paragraph. This is where the place of my content. I am just going to copy and paste that in there, and you guys are probably getting a heart attack. Don't worry about it. I will show you guys now what it is and talk a little bit more about that. But all that it is just some dummy text. As a matter of fact, I think that's a bit much, so I'm just going to slice it down. I'm just going to use the same slice on all the other pages. This is a quick way if you just want to very quickly set a frame. There we go, and I'm just going to hit my save button. Just make sure I'm fortunate enough to have a save all button, but just make sure that you save each page. Now, when you go to your browser, I'm going to refresh, and there we have a little bit of paragraph text. Now, all that this is, and this is something that you will be using quite often, especially when you start making dummy sites, or you are doing mock-ups for a client or for a friend or for whomever, and it's merely called lorem ipsum. You guys can Google it. It is a dummy text. Yes, it's an official text, and it is used throughout the industry. On the lorem ipsum site, if you guys Google it, you guys can just go to the first link, and it will actually explain a little bit where it comes from, why it is used. There is a very specific reason for you to use this, and it's also I don't want to say it's considered good practice, but I personally feel it's good practice, because everybody uses it. It just makes things a bit easier. But yes, all that comes down to is dummy text. So back to our page. I've refreshed the page. Now we've got awesome, we've gotten about us. It's very bland, it's very dull, but you guys know how to spruce your H1 tag up to make it the way that you guys want it to. I'm just going to keep it like that. And now you guys notice and ask yourself the question, but how do I get to the other pages? Simply in your browser. If you remember, you've created the page name gallery. So this was your index page, and to go to that specific page, you can just type gallery.html, and if you hit the enter button, that will show you your gallery page. Oops, I per accident edited the wrong section there, but it's not a problem. We can always just quickly change that. So let's quickly go back, change that. I was supposed to not change that one, and you guys notice how easily something like that sneaks in. So let's go logo. And contact us. Okay, now that's not right, so it was only the gallery that I made that mistake. With that fixed, we can move on. So to have a quick look at our contact us page, I'm gonna go contact us.html. My browser is showing it to me simply because I have tested it before, and it works, and it looks exactly the same like the other page, but again, just the header changed with contact us. This is great. However, now we need to start to find a way on how to navigate between these pages. So we already now have different pages. They look similar. Obviously, the content will change on each of them, but we need to be able to navigate. So for now, I'm just going to close that page, go back to just the home page, and jump back to the editor here. I'm just going to minimize that. And why are you not minimizing? It's okay. Let's leave that there. And I'm going to close those two to avoid confusion. And we are back in our index.html page. Make sure of that. Now, normally your site would run, or standard website is normally header, menu, content, footer. That is probably the most simplistic, the most basic form of any website. So I'm going to stick with that formula, and I am going to put our menu, we are going to put right in between our header div and our content div. And the way that we do that is simply by first creating a div for it, and I'm calling it top menu. You might have different menus later on in your project, so instead of just calling it menu, I suggest calling it something like top menu, because sometimes you might have a footer menu and so forth. And as with any tag, when you open it, you close it. And today I'm also going to introduce you guys to a new little tag, or two of them, and this is what we'll actually be using in order to form or to create our menu. The first one being the UL tag. And as with any tag, if you open up a tag, close up your tag and give it its own line, create spacing. The UL tag simply means unordered list. In other words, you're telling it between the UL and the closing bracket that it needs to list all the items, and it's an unordered list. The second little tag I wish to introduce to you guys is the LI. These two normally go hand in hand, the UL and the LI. Now the LI says, okay, I am part of that list. I am a list item. So list me, make me part of the list. And because we do have three pages, the About Us page, the Gallery page, and the Contact Us page, I am just going to add another two links, or not links as a matter of fact, but list items. Call them link 1, link 2, link 3, just for identification purposes. Let's have a save there and refresh our page. Excellent. And our HTML and CSS working together gave us this. It's simply an unordered list, and by default it will display it as little bullet points. The reason why you're seeing it like this, again, as I've mentioned in my previous videos, because there's no CSS attached to it, and by now you guys have probably figured that out as well, but there's no CSS, and these are also not clickable. Those are merely placeholders. To get the rest of our navigation going, let's get to creating our first HTML links, or our HTML hyperlinks as they are called. I'm gonna go jump back to my editor here. I've opened up a new page, a new blank page, just to first explain to you guys how the links work, and then we will putting it into the index file, and this is just to make sure that you guys don't get confused with it from the get-go. I'm just gonna paste all three links that we will be using and explain them. Okay, the first thing up is your A tag. As with any other tag, you open a tag, you close a tag. Now your A tag simply tells the browser that what is following is a link is a hyperlink or an anchor. I'm not going to get into anchors. You guys can Google it. Check out href and a tags and so forth, and you guys will find out what anchors are. But I'm just focusing on hyperlink for simplicity. Second part is href. That is to say, I am referring to another page, be it an HTML page, PHP page, whatever the case may be, but I am referring to another page. And then the link to that page. As you will notice, mine says localhost basic web project. Yours could be different depending, number one, on which www folder, where in that folder you created another folder and placed your files, and this can be different as well. Mine is localhost because I am using a local web server in order for me to do this, but the principle is the same. You need to link to that page. And as I've shown you guys earlier on how actually to get to those pages. Great. The way that we formulate it is simply by saying href equals double quotes and then the link inside. Now, with most other tags, as you guys have noticed, is that the tags themselves do not get printed, does not get displayed on screen, but whatever is in between those tags normally are printed. This is obviously very useful here, is to give each one of those hyperlinks or links a name. In this case, I have said about us, the gallery, which points to the gallery.html page and to the contact us page. Now that we've got that and you guys have got a little bit of a better understanding on this, let's use them. So all that I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy each one of them and drop them in. The first one being the about us. The second one is the gallery. And the third one is the contact us. So all that I've done is I've taken that link, I've put it in between my li tags, and I said to it, okay, I am the link and I am one of the list items. So when you do generate the page, then generate me as an unordered list, or display these links as an unordered list, and each one of them being a list items. So let's go have a quick look on the front page and see if I did this properly. And there we have it. About us, gallery, and contact us. If you will notice at the bottom left of the screen, it will also show you localhost, basic web project, contact us. Now, when I click on the contact us, you will notice that the menu is obviously not there because we have not added it to the page. We have not added it to the contact us page, nor have we added to the gallery page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back there. I am going to copy that complete menu. Going to open up the gallery page right between our header and our content, as we did in our index page. We're going to copy that, save the page, and close the page. That takes care of the gallery, and let's do the contact us page. Backspace. There we go. That's your top menu. Close and close the contact us page, and that should be fine. So let's go have a look. About us page, gallery, and the contact us page. For some reason not displaying, and if we refresh it, it does. So that's also another good point to point out. Whenever you've made changes to a page, always refresh the page. You can go either reload tab, or if you wish to do a where it literally clears the cache of all of those pages, you can do a Control F5, and that will actually clear the cache as well on that page. Sometimes when you don't do it, then it's got a tendency not to immediately show up like happened with the contact us. But as you can see, once I did that, click on the contact us, and it should display the contact us page, the gallery page, and the about us page. There you've created your menu, albeit not a very great looking menu, but we have a working and functioning menu. Now the next bit is really not all that hard, and as you guys could have probably guessed, is the only reason why that menu looks like that is because we've not applied any styling to it yet. And let's do that. As with any other HTML, with any other CSS, you are going to style it exactly the same way. What I have done though, to make, in the sake of time, not to type everything out, as this is quite a bit, I've prepared the Menu Css. Now this looks extremely long and complex, but it's not. So I'm just going to save this and let me run you guys through it. So the first part's very simple. That's the top menu. As you guys know, I added a div and I called it top menu. So I gave it some styling and I said to it, okay, make it a 0 margin, give it a padding of 15 pixels right around. This is what I spoke about earlier about shorthand. You guys can also Google it up and have a look at that. That's just a shorter way of saying the padding at the top, bottom, left and right should be those 15 pixels. I just cannot remember the order. I think this is bottom, left, top, right. I am not 100% sure. Just no text decoration. Font weight is bold, in other words that it's like a heavy font. Font size is 14. The font color is black, and then the menu background in itself must just simply be white. Now the next one, you guys will notice that I have the ID with a space and next to it UL. Now UL, as with body and so forth that I have previously explained, is built in. So when you use UL, in other words an unordered list, when you're referring to an unordered list, it will automatically know, okay, this is an unordered list. You do not need to give it an ID or whatever the case may be. However, you might have situations where you might have several unordered lists, and this is where this comes in. What we are saying is go to the div with an ID, or you could have made it a class. I just made it an ID, but the div with that ID of top menu, go have a look inside that div, and everything that is an unordered list, give it the following styling. And this just says don't give it any specific list style, 0 margin, 0 padding, and then just padding on the left at 14. You guys, this is simply just that the whole menu doesn't push up completely on the left hand side. Now the next one that I've added is top menu again. Look for the unordered list, and within the unordered list, look at the list items and do the same. Give it a margin of 0, giving it no padding, with one minor difference: display. And you are telling it to display inline. So instead of it displaying like this, it will now actually display inline, in one line. That is very, very useful. So remember that whenever you've got an unordered list, you need to do a quick straight menu, use the display inline. As we move down, you will notice again we've got the ID, we've got the unordered list, but this time we're saying, okay, specifically referencing to the hyperlink, and if it's a link, then apply the following styling to it. I'm not going to go through each one of those. I think you guys probably by now have got a very good grasp on the various things. Next one again, same process, but this time we say whatever link was visited, apply that styling to it. Now most of the time you will see that a lot of these styling is the same. There again, there is methods where you can bring all of these together, actually make it a bit more tight, but I've specifically broken it out like this that you guys can see the various attributes on for each one. Again, it's up to you guys. Go sit down, play with these. I've pretty much kept them pretty straightforward, but you've got the visited link, the one that is currently active. Guys, even try changing the background, to a different color. When that specific one is active, it will change to, let's say, red, so that you can identify it, or maybe even just underline the text. And the same for hover. So I'm not going to go too deeply into that, but play around, have some fun with this. This is actually great fun, and you can do some funky things with your menu. It's just where, for example, if it's active, make it a specific color, or when you are hovering, make that a different color. You will notice that I made mine a little bit different, but we'll see what that looks like now. So that's pretty much it. We go back to our page, we refresh. Again, we're having that little problem, it hasn't picked it up yet. Come now, there we go. Refreshes, and there we have our menu. All that I've told it is make the menu background completely white, as in this case. Make the background completely white. Keep the text black, all the colors. When I mouse over, when I hover, even when I click on it. Now, as you guys will notice, it's not yet on the other pages because we still have to now take that we have added to the index HTML CSS. We now have to add to the other pages as well. But you guys get the general idea. I just made it slightly like an almost grayish bluish color when I hover, just that you guys can see the effect. And as you will see, it displays your menu nicely inline, and as well you guys can see that 14 pixels spacing that I did there. Let's jump back to our editor, and I am quickly going to update the other two pages. What I normally suggest in a case like this, before breakout stages where we actually put this in its own CSS style sheet, is get your CSS as close as possible to what you wanted on your first page. You're not always going to get it perfect the first go, but try to get it as close as possible, and then you only have to jump between them once, instead of having to keep going back and forth and then trying to get them to work. So let's have a look again at that page. If I refresh, just want to make a total refresh, I click on the gallery page, and there we go. You will see now that CSS is implemented on all three pages. I'm going to leave this up for a couple of seconds more, just that you guys can see it. I might give you guys the code later on, but I specifically want you guys to type this out, specifically that you guys can get used to typing it. There where you can copy and paste bits and pieces, obviously go for it, but I'm not going to give you guys the code as is, and sit back and as well play a little bit with this. So now you've done that, you have got your CSS in, you've got your little menu working, and everything is great. Go back, have a look at the CSS, have a look at the styling. and play around with the code, see what you guys can come up with. Get to know your CSS. The better you get to know your CSS, the better your sites are going to look, the prettier your sites are going to look, and that is one of your main goals besides for functionality. So guys, thank you again for joining me for another episode. In my next episode, I will just be doing a few more things like showing you guys how to use images and that sort of thing. And you guys must have an awesome evening, and I hope to have my next video up soon. Enjoy.